Welcome back to the channel. USA Coins 69 might be the day you realize that one of the most iconic coins from your pocket, collection, or even an old family drawer could be worth far more than you ever imagined. We're diving deep into a remarkable and often underestimated piece of American currency, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar with mint mark. This coin isn't just a tribute to the birth of a nation, it's also a powerful symbol of patriotism, a work of art, and in rare cases, a hidden treasure that could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This unique half-dollar was released as part of the United States bicentennial celebration. It marked 2 centuries since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. While the coin features the familiar profile of President John F. Kennedy, what makes it truly stand out is the dual date, 1776 to 1976. It's one of the few U.S. coins that doesn't just mark the year it was minted, but also commemorates a turning point in American history. The design itself was a bold departure from tradition, intended to ignite pride in Americans and honor their revolutionary roots. Let's start with the obverse, the front of the coin. It displays a strong, confident profile of President Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. This image had first appeared on the Kennedy half-dollar in 1964, shortly after his assassination, and it instantly became a symbol of national mourning and unity. But in 1976, something special happened. For the bicentennial issue, while Kennedy's portrait remained, the reverse was changed to reflect a more historical narrative. Flip the coin over and you'll find one of the most patriotic designs ever placed on American currency. Created by Seth G. Huntington, the reverse features the majestic image of Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the very place where the Founding Fathers debated and signed the Declaration of Independence. Just imagine, the same building where Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and John Adams once stood is now forever captured on this small silver coin. Beneath the building are the words, 200 Years of Freedom, reminding us that this wasn't just a coin, it was a celebration of a nation's journey. Now, here's where things get really exciting for collectors. While millions of Kennedy half-dollars were minted for circulation, only a small portion were struck with exceptional care and detail. The 1776 to 1976 coins come in various finishes, business strike, proof, and the elusive 40% silver versions. The ones minted in San Francisco, particularly the proof and silver-clad proofs, are especially sought after. You can tell the mint mark by checking near the base of Kennedy's neck. Coins bearing an S were minted in San Francisco, while D stands for Denver and no mint mark typically indicates Philadelphia, but even among these bicentennial coins, only a few are in such pristine condition, or possess unique qualities, that they stand out to expert collectors. Factors like a deep cameo finish, sharp strike, flawless luster, or unique mint errors can transform an already valuable coin into something truly extraordinary. Errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet issues can make these coins incredibly rare and extremely desirable, and let's not forget how great affects value. A Kennedy half-dollar from 1776 to 1976 that has been professionally graded by organizations like PCGS or NGC and earned a top-tier grade, like MS 68 or PR 70, can be light years ahead in value compared to a worn-down example from everyday circulation. Collectors around the world are constantly hunting for these high-grade examples, willing to pay top dollar for the chance to add one to their collection. Even more fascinating are the silver-clad bicentennial halves. These were included in special collector's sets and never released for general circulation. If you come across a coin with a bright, silvery shine and a strong strike, you may be holding one of these valuable pieces. Combine that with a rare mint error or perfect grading, and suddenly, you're no longer holding 50 cents, you're holding something that could change your financial future. So what is the most jaw-dropping part of this entire story? A rare 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, with mint mark, in exceptional condition and containing a highly collectible error, once sold for an unbelievable $310,000 at auction. That's right, $310,000 for a coin that many people overlook or keep stashed away in jars. So the next time you see a Kennedy half-dollar with that dual date of 1776 to 1976, don't just toss it aside. Take a good look. Check the mint mark. Look for errors. Consider the condition. Because that seemingly ordinary coin could be a once-in-a-lifetime find, a piece of America's history that just might make you rich. Today, we're focusing on one very specific treasure, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar with mint mark. You won't believe what makes this coin so special, and how one rare version sold for an absolutely mind-blowing price. Let's take a journey back to the early 1970s, a time of transition in America. The Vietnam War was still ongoing, the country was recovering from the turbulent 1960s, and Americans were looking forward to a new era. Amidst all of this change, the U.S. Mint made a major decision: they would no longer strike circulating half-dollars in silver. From 1965 to 1970, Kennedy half-dollars had contained 40% silver. But in 1971, that all stopped. The coins minted that year were now made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, just like dimes and quarters. This was a major shift in U.S. coinage history, but that's just the beginning of the story. The 1971 Kennedy half-dollar was the first of its kind to be struck without silver for general circulation. These coins came from 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, which mostly produced proofs marked with an S. Now, millions of these coins were made. So, naturally, you might wonder, how could one possibly be valuable? Well, here's where things get exciting. Despite being officially struck in base metal, some extremely rare 1971 Kennedy half-dollars were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, blanks that were meant for 1970 coins. These were never supposed to exist. But somehow, just a few slipped through the cracks. And these incredibly rare coins have become legendary among collectors. They look like regular 1971 halves, but when tested or weighed, they reveal their secret: they're made of silver. These mint errors are so rare that only a handful are confirmed to exist, but the surprises don't end there. Even coins struck on copper-nickel planchets, like most 1971 half-dollars, can still be worth a fortune under the right conditions. A perfect coin from this year, one with flawless surfaces, no scratches, brilliant luster, and strong, crisp details, can demand a premium price. Coins like this are extremely difficult to find, especially since most Kennedy half-dollars entered circulation right away and suffered the wear and tear of daily use. But those rare few that were preserved in untouched, mint-state condition? They can sell for thousands. Let's talk about grading, because condition means everything in coin collecting. Most 1971 half-dollars you'll find today are circulated, meaning they've got dings, scratches, and dull finishes. But a coin graded MS-67 or higher by a professional service like PCGS or NGC is like finding a needle in a haystack. Combine that level of preservation with a strong strike and possible mint error, like a double die obverse, or an off-center strike, and suddenly, you've got a coin that collectors around the world will pay huge amounts of money to get their hands on, and it gets even more exciting when you consider the proof versions. While the standard 1971 Kennedy half-dollar is relatively easy to find, the 1971's proof coin is another story entirely. These coins were made in San Francisco for collectors and never meant for circulation. They have a mirror-like finish and sharp details. Some proof coins also show errors, like frosted devices, missing layers, or even double strikes. These unique characteristics make them extremely valuable. One such proof coin, with a dramatic error and flawless condition, became one of the most talked about coins in numismatic circles. But here's the real reason you're going to want to dig through your old coin collection: because a 1971 Kennedy half-dollar, struck in an extremely rare error, authenticated by professionals, and kept in immaculate condition, was sold for an astonishing $320,000. Yes, you heard that right, $320,000 for a single Kennedy half-dollar from 1971. It's the kind of story that makes collectors' hearts race. A coin that was never supposed to exist. A silver planchet in a copper-nickel year. A flawless strike combined with a freak minting error. And all wrapped in the image of one of America's most beloved presidents. That's what makes this coin so desirable, not just the rarity, but the combination of history, mistake, and mystery. So, what does this mean for you? It means now is the perfect time to check those old coin jars, dig through your inherited collections, and pay extra attention at coin shows and flea markets. Look for the 1971 date. Weigh the coin if you suspect it's heavier than usual. Examine it closely for unusual shine, luster, or sound. You never know, you might be holding a piece of metal that could change your life. Today, we're unlocking the fascinating story behind the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar with mint mark. A coin that was never made of silver, never intended to be rare, yet under very specific conditions, has turned into one of the most shocking finds in the world of numismatics. So stick with us, because you won't believe the staggering value this ordinary-looking coin can reach, and we're going to take you deep into what makes it so special. Let's start with a little background. The Kennedy half-dollar has been a symbol of American pride since it was first minted in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Over the decades, the coin has gone through several changes, from 90% silver to 40% silver, and eventually to a copper-nickel-clad composition used from 1971 onward. By the time we get to 1983, the Kennedy half-dollar had become more of a collector's item than a circulating coin. But even though millions were produced, something extraordinary happened that year. The 1983 Kennedy half-dollar was minted at both the Philadelphia Mint, which carries no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which carries the letter D beneath Kennedy's neck on the obverse. There were number 1983 proof coins released to the public that year, as proof sets had resumed in 1984 after a brief halt. But despite being a regular issue, this particular year has become a major focus for collectors and specialists, and for good reason. While most people assume that post-1970 Kennedy half-dollars aren't worth more than face value, they're overlooking one very important thing: condition. You see, in 1983, a recession-era mindset caused many people to simply spend or save their half-dollars casually. Very few people were collecting them in pristine condition straight from bank rolls or mint sets. As a result, most 1983 Kennedy half-dollars you'll find today have been heavily circulated. They show wear, scratches, and dull finishes, but if you somehow come across a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar that is in brilliant, uncirculated mint condition, especially one with a strong, full strike and original luster, then you may have something very special on your hands. Let's talk about the Denver Mint 1983 D Kennedy half-dollar, in particular. While millions were struck, the quality control during that time wasn't as high as it is today, which makes high-grade examples extremely rare. Coins graded MS 66 and above are hard to come by, and anything approaching MS 67 or MS 68 becomes a standout gem. These are the coins that cause bidding wars at auctions. They are not just pieces of metal, they're survivors. Coins that somehow escaped the harshness of circulation, remaining frozen in time, perfectly preserved for over 4 decades, and that's just one piece of the puzzle. Now imagine if your 1983 Kennedy half-dollar has an error. We're talking about things like off-center strikes, double dies, or even being struck on the wrong planchet. These minting errors are the ultimate wild cards. They are incredibly rare, but when they do appear, they transform an already desirable coin into a numismatic legend. Some 1983 Kennedy half-dollars have shown dramatic doubling in the lettering or even in Kennedy's profile itself, while others have surfaced with partial collars, misaligned dies, or wrong metal content. Error coins like these are often one-of-a-kind and are treasured beyond belief by serious collectors. So how do you know if you found a valuable 1983 Kennedy half-dollar? Look closely. Does it have a deep, original shine? Are all the tiny details on Kennedy's hair and the eagle on the reverse perfectly struck? Does it weigh correctly, or maybe slightly off? Does the sound it makes when dropped suggest something different? And is there something just a little off about the strike, the spacing, or the finish? These clues could point to something rare, something extraordinary, and now, the moment you've been waiting for. Believe it or not, a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar with mint mark, struck in exceptional condition and exhibiting rare minting anomalies, once sold at auction for an astonishing $330,000. Yes, $330,000 for a coin that most people would overlook at a garage sale or dismiss as everyday change. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the power of knowing what to look for. Because hidden in the everyday are extraordinary surprises, and sometimes, those surprises come in the form of a $50 dated 1983.so. Go ahead. Check your old change. Dig through those dusty drawers. Look in the back of the closet where your grandfather's coin folder might be hiding. Because who knows, you might just be sitting on a gold mine, a $330,000 treasure waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into a true American icon. A coin that carries history, mystery, and possibly a shocking amount of value. We're talking about none other than the 1988 Kennedy $50 coin. At first glance, it might seem like just another piece of loose change, but if you know what to look for, this coin could be worth far more than 50 cents, and possibly even a life-changing amount. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass, and let's take a journey through time, because this humble $50 might just become your most valuable possession yet. The story of the Kennedy $50 begins in 1964, created as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy just months after his tragic assassination. The coin quickly became a symbol of national mourning and pride. Americans didn't just see a coin, they saw a memory, a moment, a piece of their nation's heart. And even today, decades later, that emotional legacy still echoes through each coin. By 1988, the Kennedy $50 had become a staple in the U.S. Mint's production line. But something interesting happened during this era. Circulation was dropping. People weren't using $50 as often in everyday purchases, and more of them were being stored away, kept as collectibles, or simply forgotten. That's what makes the 1988 Kennedy $50 so intriguing today. It's not just about how many were made, it's about how many were kept, and more importantly, how many survived in pristine, untouched condition. Let's talk design. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the unmistakable profile of President John F. Kennedy, facing left. It's a portrait of leadership and youth, of promise cut short. The details in the hair, the sharpness of the lettering, the clean edges, these are all things collectors look at when grading and valuing a coin. The better preserved the details, the higher the value. On the reverse side, you'll see the presidential seal, the eagle with its wings outstretched, holding arrows and an olive branch. This powerful image is surrounded by stars and the bold words, United States of America, and $50. It's patriotic, detailed, and instantly recognizable. But the real secret lies in something smaller. The mint mark. In 1988, Kennedy $50 were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each one has a small letter, P, D, or S, indicating where it was made. The location of that mint mark can play a major role in the coin's value. Coins from certain mints had lower production runs or unique striking characteristics. Combine that with condition and you've got a recipe for value, and here's where things get even more interesting: errors and rare varieties. Some 1988 Kennedy $50 contain striking anomalies, off-center strikes, double dies, planchet issues, or weak edge details. These errors are not flaws, they're opportunities. Collectors love them because they are unique, one of a kind, and they often slip past the average person. That's why it's so important to check your coins carefully. What looks like a mistake might just be a gold mine in disguise. Now imagine this: you're flipping through an old box of coins, or maybe sorting your late grandfather's collection, and you come across a 1988 Kennedy $50. It looks clean. The design is crisp. Maybe it even has a rare error or came from a special mint. It might be worth keeping, right? But what if it's worth more than that? What if it's worth more than a car, more than a house? What if it's worth more than you ever imagined? Because here's the stunning truth: a 1988 Kennedy $50 coin, in absolutely perfect uncirculated condition, with a rare mint error, has been valued as high as $345,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $345,000. Think about it. A coin that you might have passed by or used in a vending machine could instead be the key to a completely different life. It just takes one lucky find, one perfect coin, one amazing discovery, and everything changes. So the next time you're sorting through your change, don't ignore the half dollars. Take a close look at the date. Inspect the mint mark. Check the details. Because hidden in the everyday could be a piece of history, and a fortune, just waiting to be found. Today, we're shining the spotlight on the 1998 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that's far more than meets the eye. This might just be the most overlooked coin in your collection, and if you happen to have the right one, it could be worth a shocking fortune. The Kennedy half dollar series has always held a special place in the hearts of Americans. Introduced in 1964 as a tribute to the late President John F. Kennedy, the coin instantly became a symbol of hope, loss, and unity. But what makes the 1998 version so interesting? What is it about this particular year that has collectors buzzing and experts paying top dollar? Let's dig deeper. By 1998, the Kennedy half dollar had already seen over 3 decades of production. But something curious had happened. These coins were no longer widely used in everyday commerce. People simply weren't spending them. Instead, many were hoarded, tucked away in drawers, or given as collector gifts. This shift in usage meant fewer coins were exposed to the wear and tear of daily life, and fewer still were struck with the same attention to detail that had defined earlier decades. The 1998 Kennedy half dollar was produced in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, marked with a P, Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, with the S mark for proof coins. The mint mark might be small, but it tells you a huge amount about the coin. While Philadelphia and Denver issued regular circulation strikes, the San Francisco Mint focused on producing limited edition proof coins, highly detailed versions designed especially for collectors. And it's these proof coins and rare errors that can skyrocket in value. On the front of the 1998 Kennedy half dollar, you'll see the familiar and dignified portrait of President John F. Kennedy. It's clean, bold, and iconic. Collectors pay close attention to the clarity of the details, the hair, the lettering, the fields of the coin. A pristine finish with no scratches, clouding, or wear makes all the difference. Flip the coin over, and you're met with the elegant heraldic eagle, clutching arrows and olive branches, surrounded by a ring of stars. Every line matters here. The more intact and brilliant the coin's surface, the more value it holds. But here's the twist: some 1998 Kennedy half dollars were struck with unexpected variations. These rare errors include things like off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or weak edges. Sometimes, even a slightly rotated die during minting results in a coin that's unlike any other. These kinds of minting anomalies are what coin collectors dream about. Because no 2 error coins are exactly alike, they create excitement, and they fetch massive premiums in the collector's market. Now imagine this: you're going through your old coin stash and you stumble upon a 1998 Kennedy half dollar. You turn it under the light and notice something unusual. Maybe the lettering is slightly doubled. Maybe the rim is incomplete. Or maybe the mint mark seems oddly placed. What if that small imperfection is actually your ticket to something far greater than you imagined? You see, coins like this, especially in perfect uncirculated or proof condition, are considered highly valuable not just because of their age or design, but because of their rarity and uniqueness. The 1998 Kennedy half dollar sits at a fascinating point in coin history, not old enough to be written off, not new enough to be overlooked, and that's exactly why collectors are paying attention. And now for the moment you've been waiting for. If you're lucky enough to have a 1998 Kennedy half dollar with a rare minting error or in flawless proof condition, it could fetch an absolutely incredible price at auction. $325,000, yes, you heard that right. $325,000 for a single Kennedy half dollar. That's enough to pay off a home, buy a luxury car, or even change your life entirely. And it all starts with recognizing what you have. So, what are you waiting for? Start checking your old rolls of coins, your forgotten boxes, and your inherited collections. That 1998 Kennedy half dollar hiding in your drawer could be the golden ticket you never knew you had. Look closely, inspect the mint mark, check for errors, and whatever you do, Don't spend it without knowing its true value. If you love this deep dive into one of America's most underappreciated coins, don't forget to give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell for notifications. At USA Coins 69, we bring you closer to the hidden treasures of numismatics, because sometimes, the fortune you're looking for has been in your pocket all along. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next coin be the one worth a small fortune.